A nation of secret landlords, the Central Statistics Office, bless their souls, have been digging around the rental market again, trying to uncover some hidden truths. And what did they find? A whole load of properties slipping under the radar, unnoticed by the powers that be. Looks like we've got ourselves up to 50,000 unofficial rental agreements flying under the radar. That's a lot of rent not going where it should, and a lot of tenants left in a rather precarious position, unaware of their rights and protections. But of course it wouldn't be Ireland without a bit of creativity when it comes to housing, the charm of our unique living arrangements. Of course, not everyone's out to dodge taxes. Many landlords are just trying to make ends meet. Some of these arrangements are probably perfectly innocent, just people helping each other out. But it does make you wonder, doesn't it? How many are truly above board, and how many are bending the rules? How many are quietly collecting rent, hoping nobody notices? The mystery deepens with every revelation. So what exactly are these unofficial arrangements? They come in all shapes and sizes, each with their own quirks and perks. Well, picture this. Your granny, still going strong, living in a cozy granny flat out back. It's the perfect setup for her. Close to family, but with her own space. She slips you a bit of rent maybe, or maybe you're just doing her a good turn. Either way, it's a win-win, right? All very hush-hush, mind you. These arrangements often fly under the radar, bypassing the usual red tape. Then there's employers providing accommodation as part of the deal. Handy, sure, but it can feel a tad restrictive. Convenient for them, maybe not so much if you fancy a change of scenery. You might feel stuck, unable to move on without risking your job. And let's not forget about subletting. A common practice, especially in those big cities where rent's through the roof. Always a recipe for interesting housemates. You never know who you might end up living with, which can be both exciting and challenging. Ah yes, the old guardianship agreement trick, a crafty way to live on the cheap, but it comes with strings attached. Mind the gaff, pay a pittance, and hope the roof doesn't leak. Sounds like a bargain. It's a bit of a gamble, but for some, it's worth the risk. And here's the kicker. The average rent for these informal setups, a mere €806 a month. Can you believe it? Practically a steal in this day and age. No wonder the government's a tad annoyed. Think of all that lovely tax revenue slipping through their fingers. But joking aside, it does raise some serious questions about fairness. How can folks paying over the odds for a shoebox compete with these bargain basement prices? Something doesn't quite add up, does it? Missing rent, missing tenants. The folks at the CSO had their work cut out for them trying to make sense of it all. They were up to their eyeballs in spreadsheets and databases trying to piece together a puzzle that seemed to have no end. They were comparing census data with RTB records and the numbers just weren't adding up. It was like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, like herding cats it was. The frustration was palpable, everyone scratching their heads, wondering where it all went wrong. Turns out a whole chunk of properties were unaccounted for. Entire neighborhoods of flats and houses had seemingly vanished into thin air. Some of it, of course, could be explained away. In any large data set, there are always exceptions and anomalies. People renting out a room in their own home, for instance, aren't required to register with the RTB. That accounts for some discrepancies. But there were still a lot of head-scratching questions left unanswered. The numbers still weren't adding up by a long shot. Where had all these missing tenants gone? It's a mystery that needs solving. And more importantly, who's got their rent money? Someone, somewhere is pocketing cash that should be accounted for. What's next, apart from a cup of tea? Well, the government's in a bit of a pickle now, aren't they? They can't just ignore this, after all they need that tax revenue. But how do you regulate something that's practically invisible? Maybe they'll launch a campaign. Have you seen this rent money? Or maybe they'll just shrug their shoulders and have another biscuit. Sure, it's only a few billion euros. What's the worst that could happen? Ah, Ireland, how we love you. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time.